Hi, Andrea here. I hope you're doing well. Today we are talking about cholesterol. So I mentioned cholesterol in many of my videos, and I always promise that I would do a video. This is it. This is the video. And by the end of this video, I hope I will convey you the message that there is no bad cholesterol. As shocking as it might seem to you, because you are used to the notion that there is bad cholesterol, there is good cholesterol, there is no bad cholesterol. And obviously, big disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician, so this talk is for informational purposes only. Don't take this as a health recommendation. I'm just sharing some information. I will put all the resource links down in the description. Please study, get deep on this topic, and then go to your doctor armed with the information. So cholesterol is a pretty complex topic, especially because we are conditioned to think that cholesterol is bad. Every time you eat, oh, the cholesterol. So let's try to break down this talk into a few parts. And let's start from what is cholesterol. Cholesterol is a waxy fat-like substance that our liver makes and that is needed for the correct functioning of all our body and cells. We also can eat cholesterol. So usually animal foods have cholesterol. So we can integrate some of the total cholesterol that our liver makes with exogenous cholesterol that we take from foods. But a standard individual, whatever standard means, that eats a mixed diet, usually from what I understand, like 80% of the total cholesterol is made endogenously by your liver and 20% comes from food. If you eat primarily, or if you don't eat animal foods, then 100% of your cholesterol is made by your body. So this is a very important information. Your liver makes cholesterol. And why does our liver make cholesterol if it's so bad? Let's try to enumerate some of the functions that this vital substance has for us. All the cells in our body, all the membranes of our cells are made of cholesterol. We have approximately 30 trillion cells in our body, and all of them need cholesterol. All the membranes of those cells need cholesterol. And about 300 billion cells get recycled every day. If you make the calculation, in 100 days, you will have recycled all the 30 trillion cells in your body. So every 100 days, you have a new you. And you need a lot of cholesterol for that. Then the insulation of our nerves, so all the nerves that carry electrical signals, are covered, insulated by a substance, which is made primarily of cholesterol. Think of an electric cable, all right? So you have the insulation of the cable, and if the insulation gets damaged, then you might have short circuits. So same thing with our nerves. The protection, the insulation of our nerves is primarily cholesterol, fat and cholesterol. Our brain is made of fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol. It's basically fat matter. And by the way, all the cells, all the neurons in our brain, all the membranes, as I said, are made of cholesterol. We need a lot of cholesterol to maintain and repair our brain. Bile is synthesized in the liver from cholesterol. All the steroid hormones have as a precursor cholesterol. Without cholesterol, your body cannot make steroid hormones. Testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, vitamin D, etc., etc. No cholesterol, no hormones, no steroid hormones. And the list of functions of cholesterol is probably longer. I don't even know all the functions of cholesterol in our body. It is a vital substance in our body. And our liver makes it for that reason. Okay, so that is cholesterol, and that is what it does in our body. And that's why our liver produces it, okay? So before going into the bad cholesterol, good cholesterol discussion, let's briefly discuss about how cholesterol travels in our body, okay? It's very quick. So you surely know about HDL and LDL, okay? And you think good cholesterol, HDL, bad cholesterol, LDL. Actually, HDL and LDL are not even cholesterol. HDL and LDL are lipoproteins. Lipoproteins are the mechanism in our body that allows a fat substance that cannot travel in a watery substance, our blood, to travel. Okay, so lipoproteins are proteins that are water soluble outside and that can accept fat inside. And those lipoproteins carry cholesterol, but also triglycerides and other substances, fatty substances. And at the end of the day, those lipoproteins are buses. They just carry a load in our body through our blood system, in the blood circulation. And HDL is a bus that goes around our body. It starts empty and then it goes around our body. It collects cholesterol from the periphery and it brings it back to the liver. Thus, good cholesterol. The LDL, low density lipoprotein, HDL was high density lipoprotein. LDL, it's a bus that gets loaded in the liver and then it goes out to the periphery to distribute the cholesterol for all the vital functions that it has. And that is bad because it's implicated, we will talk about this later in the talk, it's implicated in the formation of the plaques in your arteries. All right, so now that we understand what LDL and HDL are, let's talk about why we think, and they told us, that LDL is bad. So the theory is that LDL is bad because it's carrying cholesterol to the periphery, and in particular to our coronary arteries or to our blood vessels in general, arteries in general. And in doing so, it can deposit cholesterol on the endothelium of the arteries and create these plaques. As far as I understood from all the research I've done, and I will put all the links below, and again, study and talk to your doctor. This is not the ultimate truth that I'm telling. This is what I understood and what I want to share with you because I think it's very important. What I understood is that the deposition of cholesterol happens in response to injuries, inflammation in the arteries, and actually in all blood vessels. But today, let's focus on heart disease and coronary arteries. So it all starts from an injury. There is an injury in the blood vessels, in the arteries, and our immune system responds with a clotting cascade. I don't know all the steps of this cascade, but there is some deposition of calcium and other things, macrophages, and then here comes LDL, and the macrophages have receptors. LDL is attracted to it, deposits the cholesterol, and the cholesterol is basically a spackle to smooth out the plaque. So it's part of the repair mechanism of our body for that injury. So let's talk about the injury in a bit. A good analogy to understand this part is, imagine you have fires in the city, okay? And you have fire stations, okay? So when there are fires, the fire station dispatches firefighters. And every time there is a fire, all of a sudden you will see firefighters on the site. And we don't go like, oh, the fire is the firefighters' fault. They're always here. There is a fire, they're here. We have to diminish the firefighters. We have to close down the fire stations so that we don't have so many firefighters around. Well, I think that is a good analogy to understand the current approach to LDL cholesterol. LDL cholesterol, it's actually part of the healing mechanism in our body for the injury that we are inflicting to our body in general and to our blood vessels. And why do we have these injuries? Okay, why do we have this inflammation? Okay, so there are many causes of the inflammation, this chronic inflammation that we carry around. So I will list some of them, the ones that I understood, the most important ones. Chronic elevated glucose, blood sugar, and consequently chronic elevated insulin, so hyperinsulinemia and insulin resistance. It will create a lot of damage in all our blood vessels. It's not only the arteries, it's also in the brain. So maybe we will talk about that at the end of the talk. Chronic consumption of fructose and alcohol will create inflammation. Fructose is highly inflammatory for our mitochondria. Chronic consumption of seed oils. Seed oils, highly inflammatory, especially if you heat them and reheat them. But even out of the bottle, seed oils, highly processed, high omega-6, highly inflammatory. Chronic exposure to nicotine. If you're a big smoker, high chances of damage to all your body. Chronic stress, lack of sleep, and then chronic exposure to pesticides and pollutants of many kinds. Probably many more things that I don't even know. But all these, notice the term chronic. The thing is that if you, for whatever reason, inflict some damage to a blood vessel, then our immune system comes in, and then there is a clotting cascade that will create the clot with the cholesterol. It will heal down below, and then all of a sudden HDL will come, pick up the cholesterol, absorb it from the clot, it will dissolve, and you are like new. Think of a scar on your skin. It's similar. You cut yourself, blood comes out, and there is a clotting cascade also. And it will form a crust, and then your skin will heal, and then the crust will dissolve. Same thing. It's very similar, the mechanism. But imagine if you cut yourself, cut your skin, and then while it's healing, you cut again, and you cut again, and you cut again, and you keep cutting in that area or all over. That's chronic injury, chronic inflammation. And that's what's happening in our bodies because we have developed habits that promote inflammation. All those things that I talked about. From what I understood, if you don't inflict damage to your body, so if you don't have insulin resistance, hyperinsulinemia, chronic elevated blood glucose, high consumption of nicotine, high consumption of fructose, high consumption of seed oils, etc. If you don't have that, and you have very low inflammation in your body, then high LDL is irrelevant because you are not producing the damage to your body. You will not create the clots. You will not create the plaques. So in this context, there is no bad cholesterol. There is absolutely no bad cholesterol. Obviously, if you have all of those conditions that I talked about, then high cholesterol could be a signal of the problem. It is not the problem. It is not the problem. It might tell you that you have high inflammation and your body is producing a lot of cholesterol to fix that. So unfortunately, modern medicine has only one answer to this situation. And you go to the doctor, you get your blood work, and they will look at only one number, or mostly only one number. And that number is LDL. If you have high LDL, big problem. And usually what they do, if you have high LDL, high cholesterol, they will give you a pill. They will give you medication, statin, that will lower your cholesterol. And how does that work? Well, statins basically act on your liver and tell your liver to produce less cholesterol. So imagine that. Your liver, So your body is regulating the amount of cholesterol it wants to produce because it needs it for all the things that we talked at the beginning of this talk, including repairing the damage that you're doing with your habits and the environment you're living. And then all of a sudden you take a pill that acts on your endogenous production of cholesterol because you have high LDL. So I'm not a doctor, again. I cannot tell you if in all cases it's a bad thing. I don't know. What I understood, and please, again, look at all the information, study and talk to your doctor. This is too important. So think of the analogy, the firefighter and fire station analogy that I made earlier. Taking a drug that interferes with the endogenous production of cholesterol and tells your liver to produce less is almost like saying there are too many firefighters. Let's shut down some fire stations. Let's fire all those firefighters. It doesn't make any sense, and it might produce devastating side effects. Because if you remember, all our cells, the membranes of all our cells in all our body, including our brain, are made of cholesterol. The steroid hormones are made from cholesterol, etc., etc. Reducing the endogenous production of cholesterol will impact all those functions in our body. It's not only LDL. So artificially reducing the level of cholesterol in our body that our body wants to produce. Remember, our body is regulating that. Okay, so there is a reason why the body is producing all that cholesterol. And we interfere with a drug with devastating side effects that span from cognitive decline, worsening of the condition of your arteries, depression, muscle pain, frailty, diabetes type 2, liver damage. Go and look at the side effects on those drugs. It's a long list. It is a scary, scary situation. All right, so this was a pretty deep episode. I think it's very important. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not here to tell you take the statin, don't take the statin. I cannot do that. It's not even part of my coaching service. I'm spreading this information because I think it's very important. I hope you will take this information, you will go deeper, you will follow the links, understand a little bit more, discuss with your doctor, seek another alternative opinion if your doctor is telling you to take statins. It's too important. It's too important. Avoid the trap of being like religious. There are so many things, so many beliefs that we have that we take religiously. They might be right. I'm not here to say it's all wrong. Study, get the information, get deep. Don't go to your doctor and discuss these topics without knowing what you're talking about. This is too important. Well, I hope this talk was useful. It's probably a little bit shocking in some ways, but yeah, be open-minded and get deep. Study. Okay? I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.